Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
First down and 10 at their own 10-yard line. Tevin Coleman with some running room. Tevin Coleman down the sideline. Coleman, one man to beat. Tevin Coleman's going to go 90 yards, and Indiana takes the lead. Randall L. scrambles, started off the pitch, keeps it himself down the sidelines. He could go. Antoine Randall L. touchdown. Rory going to the single coverage, end zone. Touchdown. He hits Cooper again.
Welcome to episode 262 of the premier Indiana podcast for previews of Kennesaw State games. That didn't make any sense, but we're here to preview the game against Kennesaw State. If you couldn't figure it out from the title of the podcast that you clicked on. So, unfortunately, due to some child illness, Brandon not with us. We have Seth here. Brandon doesn't have a child's illness. His child has an illness. Seth, what's up?
I have a child, and I'm confused by that. Yeah. No, I am here. I am excited. I have watched Kennesaw State football.
You did.
I've absorbed into my eyeballs. I'm ready to talk.
I'm not even gonna lie, dude. I watched like a 34-minute, maybe it was 18, 34 minutes or 18 of the game highlights, like the highlight package you get on YouTube. Oh my God, it was bad to watch. Like Wake Forest is in it real bad, I think, this season. But yeah, we'll talk about the Owls of Kennesaw State. A lot more menacing of uniforms and color scheme than the actual mascot would give off, in my opinion. What do you think of that?
I liked them.
I do too. I really like their uniforms. Oh, wait, we forgot to do a quick look around the program. We'll update everybody real quick. IU falls to number 23 in the AP poll, number 21 in the coaches poll. It means nothing. It's fine. I'm sorry. And according to the Indy Star, the sky is falling. So after one game, if anybody hasn't seen some of those headlines, go check those out. Sunday morning headlines or maybe late Saturday headlines, either one. They were a little bit ridiculous. All right, moving on. Game 2. Seth likes the jerseys. I like the jerseys. They're going to wear the same ones, I'm assuming,
Of course.
as they come to Bloomington for the first ever meeting. As I said, it's in Bloomington, Memorial Stadium on Saturday, September 6th, a noon kickoff, another FS1 televised broadcast. 72 degrees and sunny with some clouds. So another perfect day, another reason for people to start talking about people leaving at halftime and stuff again. But moving on, line set right now at IU minus 35.5 with an over-under of 52.5. And according to ESPN, we didn't look at this, Seth, when you gave me the line. At time of outline, gave us a 94.6% chance of winning the game. Line up a point. What do you think about that line after only being a 20-something point line last week against what I think is probably a pretty similar opponent?
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter. What I find interesting is 90. I will say this every week. I never understand the ESPN predictor. 94.6.
No.
They're going to win by 30. What did you say? 35.5 is the line. Yet somehow they still predict a 5.4% chance of a Kennesaw. Like, that doesn't math to me. I feel like we say this every week, but I would expect that number closer to 98 maybe. But yeah, I think this line, I think the movement is a little bit scary. It's not one I'm going to touch, especially after last week, but that's personal. So don't make the same mistakes I did. But that's cool. I think, it's a sign of program. I think people who watched, we'll talk about this more, but people who watched that Kennesaw State Wake Forest game, there's a lot of questions about how this team's going to score any kind of points. So it'll just be very interesting. Obviously, in that spread, they're factoring that IU is going to be doing the majority of that point scoring. So I just, they're saying, what is that, like 47, 45, 10? Somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But the line does scare me only because the lack of offensive execution that IU showed in the first game. But if you just want to throw $5 on something to make it interesting, no, try to eat on 36.
Yes, why not? And I have a small exception to what you said about the offensive execution. I'd say a very particular points of the field, offensive execution was not good. Just basically inside the 4-yard line would be the specific areas of the field.
And
yeah, I don't know how
catching balls inside the 5-yard line.
Yes, that as well. I don't know how this team's going to score points. Kennesaw State, their offense, they showed a couple flashes. They missed their kicker's bad. At least the one that transferred in is bad. Maybe they moved to the freshman who did end up coming in that game last week, but missed a 40-something yard field goal, missed an extra point. They should have beat Wake Forest is what I'm getting at. But yeah, I don't know. We'll get through it. We'll talk about their stuff real quick. Schedule up to IU, as we said, they lost, for those that haven't paid attention, they lost 9-10 at Wake Forest the opening week of the season. Should have been at minimum 10-10, probably 13-10 with a W next to it. Mm-hmm. So let's get into it. We don't do rankings yet necessarily stat wise. We've only gone through one game. I think by the time we get to conference play, it'll be a little bit more relevant. Definitely more down this as the season goes, it'll get more, but they got up 307 yards of total offense, 9 points, as we said, only 158 yards on the ground at 3.7 yards a carry and 149 yards through the air. Seth, 36% completion percentage.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
It begins and ends with Dexter Williams at the quarterback position. He is athletic as can be, with the problems that Colton Joseph posed on those 2 long and excruciating runs for Old Dominion. You know, this guy's more athletic than him, so he definitely poses a threat and a strong against a weakness, I should say, that IU has exhibited in the past historically, and certainly in 2 plays against the Monarchs. So you have to be aware of what Dexter Williams is able to bring from an athletic standpoint. But when you look at the QBR, when you look at the completion percentage, when you look at the yardage, he is a man who he's a thrower, not a passer. You know, he's just throwing it out there. And he is more comfortable running the ball, making decisions, elongating plays, and trying to make things happen in the scramble in the sandbox. I don't think, I think he poses threats, obviously, but more with his legs than his arm. If you can make him, 3rd and long, you're really going to limit this team offensively.
Yeah. So as you hinted at, former Hoosier Dexter Williams, Sexy Dexy, as we used to call him, he was 12 of 33 for those that didn't want to do the 36% math. 0 touchdowns, 0 interception, a QBR of 24.1. Yeah. And as Seth said, he's not much of a passer. He never really was a passer at IU. If you guys go look up his stat sheet from the one start that he got, I think, which was against Michigan State, the one that they ended up winning, he was terrible throwing the ball that game too. I think he only threw the ball like 8 times, and he might have been like 1 of 8 or something. Like, it was not good. But he's going to do some stuff with his feet. They gave us some problems last week. We'll see how that goes.
His best game was at Ohio State, 6 for 19, 107 yards,
nice,
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, maybe he came in.
Michigan State, he was 2 for 7. Penn State, 4 for 11. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Running back room. They did a pretty even distribution of carries last game, but the main guy there is Coleman Bennett. He's a 6th-year senior. He had 66 yards on 17 carries, almost 4 yards average. The guy looked pretty good. Looked like he was kind of hard to tackle, kind of low center of gravity guy. Not necessarily overly quick or going to make you miss anywhere. He's not going to run you over, but he's tough to bring down. Anything else you want to add there, running back room wise? I'll just keep moving until you tell me to
No,
stop.
no, he's the one guy again who has a little bit of that. I don't know, kind of what is it, lower 5 build for running back that you really like. He's got that forward lean. He's aggressive. He'll take advantage of every yard you give him, but he's not going to blast any holes. He's not going to do anything on his own. He's not a huge playmaker, and they lack playmakers overall. But he's one of the consistent guys who can get you, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. But I think his longest was 19. But he's not going to be going top end speed, 80 yards coast to coast, like some of the other threats you might see in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that 19-yard run was his touchdown run, I think, and it was hilarious. Like I think Wake had him at the line of scrimmage. He got out of it, and then they had 2 guys pretty much wrap him completely up, and somehow he squirmed out of that, and then essentially walked into the end zone. Wide receivers don't really know what you're gonna get there. Their top wide receiver had a lot of yardage. I mean, 103 of Dexter's 149 on 5 catches. One of them was a pretty big one. We got another fight in the Cowboys-Eagles game right now. That's great.
Who spit this time?
I don't know. There's a helmet getting ripped off, though.
Oh, boy.
2 helmets ripped off. So back to this. The main guy, I would say, I guess, to watch, the 2 guys, Gabriel Bernard, he's kind of a slot wide receiver build, but almost their entire wide receiver room is kind of 6 foot. So the other guy is Takeem Wallace. I think he'll see more targets. He was kind of the big guy everybody was talking about going into the season as far as their main wide receiver. So we'll see how that goes. Offensive line, I don't know. They're okay. Couldn't really block consistently for the run, as you could see. Only gave up a couple sacks against a Power 4 school. 3 tackles for loss, which I guess they would consider probably pretty good for that game. They only returned 1 starter from last season, so the combination doesn't usually add up well for opposing teams against our front. So that could be an advantage. Who are you watching? I think there's an obvious there. I think all 3 of them we've already talked about, but anybody else outside of Williams, Bennett, or Bernard that you want to talk about or that you'd be looking for on the offense at Kennesaw State?
No, I think the wide receiver room was the hardest to judge because, again, I don't want to rag on them too much, but there was such an inconsistency with the throwing from Dexter that it was really hard to make an evaluation on the receivers. There was a lot of balls thrown at feet, a lot of balls thrown inside when they broke outside and vice versa. So, obviously that's reflected in the in the QBR and in the completion percentage that we have referred to twice now. But that's really, one game. Wake Forest defense was not very athletic, was not very strong. They didn't do anything that was, that overwhelmed Kennesaw. It was a really even battle. But when I have to put my money on the line, I think it's more a reflection of where Wake Forest is at than where Kennesaw State is at. And that's how I ultimately felt. So I think the offensive line held up better than I would have expected, like you said, especially against an ACC school. But then again, I think this is probably the worst or the second worst ACC team that they're going to put out there this year. So
yeah. So I looked up what the preseason rankings were for ACC from the ACC conference, and they had Wake Forest second to last. So that's a good guess. Behind Stanford, I think they had Wake maybe winning 5 total games all season, which I think might be a stretch based on what happened in this game. I do think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. I think they're going to try to do kind of what ODU tried to do and try to establish some sort of running game, whether it be a quarterback option run, any sort of RPO. But a lot of stuff I saw was almost kind of similar to, I don't know how it could be any poorer than this, but a poor man's Western Kentucky style offense where they're going to do almost every play is going to be a quick RPO. Could be a wide receiver screen setup, could be a real quick inside slant. They're going to try to get the ball out of Dexter's hands fast if he's not planning on keeping it for the run. So it'll be interesting. And they do play fast, too. Mm-hmm. They play real fast.
if I'm Kennesaw, I'm taking a page out of ODU's book, and I am getting the wide receivers spread far. I am isolating that box, and I am trying to put my 5 linebackers on 6, 7 potentially IU Hoosier defenders, and giving some kind of either play action, RPO, option angle where you're really putting players in a bind. And that's what Colton Joseph took advantage of before. And I think Dexter, like I said, was much better athlete. I don't know if he can execute necessarily the RPO game, the passing game out of there effectively enough to beat the Hoosiers, but he's certainly, from an athletic standpoint, if they isolate an attack, and then what I think ODU also try to do is slow down the clock, which is the opposite of Kennesaw State's methodology. If they can steal a possession, I hate to be like that, but you wonder if they can stick around in the game, kind of like they did against Wake Forest.
Yeah, no.
You wonder. I know, of course. I got at least hypothesize. Come on.
I know. We can't have that.
No.
I know it's a possibility, but after last week, which just to remind everybody was a win, we just can't have that toxicity. It'll turn into like an IU basketball chat room so fast. All right, moving on to the defense. The defense, again, I don't know. They gave up almost 350 yards, only 10 points, 218 yards through the air, which was shocking at a 72% completion percentage. And I'm pretty sure he threw the ball like 28 times. How they only got 218 yards is insane. Only gave up 130 yards on the ground at 2.8 yards per carry. So that could be a problem coming up. I didn't care to, this is mean, but I didn't really care to do too much research about their defense. As we said, and we've hinted at a bunch, Wake is not going to win very many games. It's hard to kind of gauge what Kennesaw is going to really be as the season goes on off of that game. They do have a real big stud on the corner position at Jericho Washington Jr., a second-team All-Conference USA player last year as a freshman, I believe. Really good player, played really well against Wake, but outside of that, I mean, they've got some experience at linebacker, and that's it, really. Or did you see anything on their defense that kind of gave you any sort of concern? I mean,
yeah.
they did sack a lot.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is what I noticed is, like a lot of these lower school conferences, is they have athletes. They're just a little bit undersized. They're everybody's just kind of like a little micro machine version of a better player on a bigger school. So they had guys who flew around. Their defensive line was constantly in the Wake Forest backfield. Really, really, in a passing game and a running game were disruptive. A lot of that was defensive line. There were some blitzing linebackers who were able to come in there as well. It was really a situation where Wake Forest did not have superior athletes offensively. And because of that, the defense was negligible. There was not really any kind of advantage. So I expect them to have a solid outing again. I think the IU offense is going to be much more complicated, much more complex. It has much better athletes than Wake Forest currently does. So I expect different results. But I don't think you're going to see a bottom 20, bottom 30 defense in the NCAA. I think you're going to see a pretty average, probably end up pretty average statistically in the nation. So I think they're going to be good, but I think they're going to be beatable. And I think the big thing is being able to keep, again, we'll talk more about this probably in the next round. It's keeping pressure off of the quarterback, off of the run game, and making sure the offensive line really controls the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, they had 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. As we've said 5-6 times now. I mean, we got to take that with a massive grain of salt with being who their opponent was. I think that if IU and Wake were to play each other, maybe 3 touchdown line, I would think, if not more, in favor of IU. That's just kind of where Wake's at. Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, when you sit here and you look at the stats from that game, excuse me, from what I guess you should have to consider a Power 4 school, it could be a little bit of a concern, especially with a 35.5-point line, coming off of what I guess we both considered to be some poor execution, at least in the scoring zones. Man, I'll get this question out of the way now because I'm not sure when else to do it. Do you think they open it up? I mean, I think they do, right? I think you see more creativity. I think you'll see more motion. I think you'll see more involvement from maybe some of the slot wide receivers on some jet sweeps, things like that. I think you'll see some more stuff like that. But they're not going to go full open playbook yet.
No. I think there's going to be a slight increase, a slight evolution. There's going to be a building upon the previous week. But I really think what we learned from the first 3 games last year was they were uber vanilla almost to a fault, but they were so dominant that they could afford to be vanilla. I think this year, I think Cignetti probably had a similar outset, was that we're going to try to be very vanilla. We don't want to show too much before the Big Ten slate. We should be able to win these games pretty easily. So without giving away our hidden advantage or trick plays or, whatever it may be, or get comfortable, get confident, get the identity going, and then let everything else kind of filter in down the stretch with, kind of more aggressive play calling, as you call it, kind of opening up the playbook, adding those wrinkles in. I do expect there to be more motion because I think they're going to want to isolate specific players a little bit more. I know isolation is a really handy way to do that. I do expect them to think that they're going to have an athletic advantage. So being able to get Omar Cooper probably in a slot or outside, get him lined up against somebody in a fade or a post route. So I really think that they're going to do a much better job of isolating specific players to take advantage of their athletic skill set. But I don't think that it's necessarily trick plays or, all of a sudden they're putting in some kind of more nuanced Big Ten offense. I still expect it to be fairly vanilla. A lot of that inside split zone running game, a lot of the RPO stuff that's basic, but ultimately something they're going to be able to build upon moving forward.
I'm going to stress this one more time, then we're going to move on. A sharp IU team, a sharp team with the team that we've got, mentally sharp, wins that game 51-7. I mean, they don't give up. Maybe they give up the first touchdown. They won't. It never happens again, right? I think that and maybe it's creeping into myself here a little bit too. I just think that the score line and kind of the things that were failed against that game last week are really creeping into a lot of people's heads, and maybe we're overthinking how good Kennesaw State may be. But I don't know. It's hard to look at, but let's move on.
It's one of those things with the knee-jerk reactions. If they win 56-7 against Kennesaw State by Saturday afternoon, by the time you have dinner Saturday, you're like, we're back, baby. And you're strutting around, you're doing your little peacock walk. I mean, there is absolutely no doubt that because we're so knee-jerk right now that it's like, oh my God, this guy's falling. We only won by 13. Oh my God, this is terrible. But a win's a win, man. And ultimately, you can get really, really right, really, really fast if you look good Saturday.
Yes. And who are the players that are going to make us look good, Seth, on offense? Who are you watching?
Yeah, I hinted at this straight away, and I'm gonna own up to it. It's the offensive line. It is absolutely vital that the bigger, more physical team show up, dominate the line of scrimmage on running game, on passing game, make sure that the play action, the RPO game is in effect. There's a couple of players who graded out very, very highly when you looked at it from the PFF standpoint. And there was one that was maybe a little bit slightly disappointing. You really want to see high numbers across the board, 85 above, something like that would be a great kind of goal for a get right game against Kennesaw State. One of the things I really want to see is big holes opened up in the run game, especially in the second half. There should be a sizable lead. You should be able to lean on that offensive line and do kind of the bully ball from Michigan from 2 years ago. What you like to do a lot last year, which is kind of, do a lot more rotating in the backs in the second half, keeping the fresh legs going, having that forward lean where you are just playing bully ball second half, and that clock just kind of disappears on you. So that's what I expect. And I expect the identity of this football team. I know there's sexy players on the outside. There's nice running backs. Everybody likes to talk about the quarterback. But in the Big Ten, we know this time in, time out, The offensive line is the difference maker. It's the ground bearer. It is the standard breaker, whatever you want to call it, that gets offenses moving forward in the Big Ten. So I expect the offensive line to have a challenge, rise to it, and summarily dismiss the Owls.
I'm going to take one of the sexy guys, as you referred to them as. I'm going to go with Elijah Surratt. I think that he has probably the toughest matchup one-on-one, at least. If they put Washington on him, not a very strong start to last week's game. Now, granted, he wasn't targeted, but only 4 catches, 33 yards, if I remember it off the top of my head. I think he goes 8+. I think he goes 8+ on Saturday. I think there's lots of big plays that come out of Saturday. We'll see. I mean, Wake didn't bust anything, but I think we were right there, right on the cusp of doing it against what I think everybody would consider to be a tougher opponent. So defense, who are you watching?
Yeah. This one I thought, I was going to say this one I had to think about quite a bit, and it's really the linebackers. I think the way I described it's going to be containing Dexter Williams. It's going to be containing the run game, and I think a lot of that's going to be contingent upon making sure that the leverage is contained by Hardy, by Fisher, and I really think that putting the offensive of Dexter Williams in 3rd and longs, not letting them get 4, 5, 6 yards on first down is going to be an absolute game changer. And the difference between knocking Kennesaw State out in the second quarter or, them having some life into the 3rd or 4th. And I expect IU to want to get right. And I expect the linebackers to lay the hammer and be a big influence in limiting Kennesaw State offensively.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to what I had. So I'll go with another one. I've got Kamara down here. I think that the little difference you'll see between Colton Joseph and Dexter Williams is that Dexter's built more of a wiry running type quarterback, whereas Joseph was a little thicker, muscly, could, hit somebody hard if they needed to. So Williams likes to get outside the tackles, right, to make his plays, whether he's rolling that way to drag some of the defense away, whether it's an RPO that goes that direction. Everything's going to be to the outside. So I think having him contain Dexy is going to be pretty big in the game as well. And again, another major player coming off of a poor stat game last week with just 1 tackle for him. So let's do a quick promo. Then we'll do a run around the Big Ten. I think it should go pretty quick. And then we'll do our predictions and get out of here. So we'll be right back. Oh, we forgot about the sack, but we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by your go-to expert in the Indiana real estate market. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in a home right here in the heart of the Hoosier country, Garrett Lawton with True Blood Real Estate is the agent that you need. He's not just a real estate agent, he's a Hoosier fan just like you. And Garrett knows Indiana inside and out, from Bloomington to Indianapolis and everywhere in between. Plus, his personalized service makes the buying and selling process smooth and stress-free. So if you're ready to make a move, give Garrett a call at 317-410-8851 or visit his website at lawton-realty.com. And we're back. Let's look around the Big Ten. This is outside of 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 games. So maybe 5 out of the 18 are pretty much just walkthroughs, right? So you've got Friday, you've got Western Illinois at Northwestern, and for maybe the first time ever in Northwestern history, the line's so big they're not even going to give you one. So that's a don't touch me game.
Nope.
Yeah. Moving on, NIU, Northern Illinois, at what was a pretty impressive Maryland performance last week. Maryland getting 16.5, Seth. Where are you going with this one?
I'm still on don't touch. I saw it. I it's not that I didn't believe it, because obviously it happened. I don't think it's long-term viable. So there's just nothing to be confident in, is I guess what I'm saying. I think NIU traditionally has a solid team. I just don't think that Maryland, you can believe in 17 points better than anybody right now.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm in the don't trust category. I don't trust Maryland yet. So I'm taking NIU in the points. So give me 6. I think they keep it respectful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they keep it within 2 scores. Moving on to Saturday, another team that Maryland just played, I believe, or was that FAU? Well, they played one of them. FIU at number 2 Penn State with a fat line, right? 42.5. Penn State had a big line last week, couldn't hit it against Marshall. What are you doing here, Seth?
I'm not touching it again. I mean, all of these, this line is huge. Do I expect Penn State to blow out FIU? Sure, I do. But also Penn State's the kind of team that underwhelms frequently.
Lets off the gas. And
could go up 34-3 at halftime and then purposely not score in the second half. So I just think it's too big for a Penn State team. But I also don't think that FIU has a chance. I don't think it's definitely take the plus 42.5. No. What I did. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would do. I would take the plus 42.5 just based on the way they played well against Maryland. I mean, there's nothing really you could say bad about it. They just didn't hit the number there, I think, or against Marshall. FIU's not terrible. They're not a terrible squad, but they have no chance in actually winning, but keeping it within 6 scores, I think they've got a decent chance. Here's sneaky, maybe at least for IU, maybe one of the more important games on the schedule outside of our actual game. It's number 11 Illinois going to Duke. I'm pretty sure when this line originally came out, they had Duke as a small favorite. Now Illinois minus 3.5. I haven't watched any Duke. I know that they've got the kid from Liberty, I think, right? The quarterback, but
Tulane.
But what do you got going on here? I've got Illinois in the spread for me, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's what I'd probably lean to. But I said this in this preseason, is if you are an IU fan, this is the game you're going to want to watch to predict how IU is going to face against Illinois. Duke is a quality team. They have a fairly strong offense, usually run a good system. I know Darian Mensah is a really nice quarterback. And it's a road game. So you want to see how Illinois responds. You want to know how they go on the road and play football. And it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to play at IU, most likely, than it is to play at Duke. So you want to see a look at that. I expect Illinois to win. I think they're just a little bit better on defense, probably. We'll make it up. So I would take Illinois with the 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah, and I only really did it because I want them to come in undefeated. So, and this is the only possible slip up for them is this game before they get to IU. So,
right.
What do they call this one? The barn burner or something? Iowa at Iowa State, number 16, Iowa State. Iowa State Cyhawk. Iowa State only getting 3.5. I got Iowa State.
Yeah, I got
that 3.5.
I got Iowa State. They looked really nice. Not really nice, but they look good enough against Kansas State. I expect. I still don't see anything from Iowa that's convincing, except for the rivalry will probably make it a little bit closer than it should be. Mm-hmm. But still, Iowa State.
Here's a couple no touches. Northwestern State at Minnesota and Grambling at number 1 Ohio State. Nobody's touching either one of those games. No line listed for either one. Just you're adding to your parlay for a couple of cents.
So here we go. This one's insane.
Oh, this one. I think the line's massive on this.
But against Montana State last week, it was 26.5 is what I bought it at.
Oklahoma State they're getting 27.5 points.
So the spread
At
was bigger
Oregon.
for Oklahoma State
Or-
than it was Montana State.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got Oregon on the money line if you're going to pick one.
It seems like too many points
it.
for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that's another no touch. I think it's not really worth it. Miami of Ohio at Rutgers. Rutgers giving 15.5. Miami of Ohio stayed 17-0 or something like that against Wisconsin last week in Wisconsin.
Rutgers was
got to
fairly...
go to the
SHI.
Rutgers.
Yeah. Rutgers looked
Yeah.
moderately impressive last week. I would take them. I think they're probably a little bit better than Wisconsin. So 15.5 for 17. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'd probably say
What were you going to say?
Rutgers. Oh, yeah, I'd say Rutgers. Sorry.
Like you're probably saying it. Stop. Man, these are boring games.
I
Middle
know.
Tennessee State at Wisconsin. Wisconsin minus 28.5. I got Middle Tennessee State to cover 28.5.
Yeah, who's quarterback for Wisconsin?
Not Billy Edwards.
Is it O'Brien?
I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea.
So I would just take I wouldn't touch it, but I'd lean towards MTSU.
Here's a fun one. Finally, number 15 Michigan at number 18 Oklahoma. Both teams I think are, right? They're just whatever.
Yeah.
Oklahoma favorite by 5.5 at home. I got Oklahoma just on the money line, maybe just squeezing a late one out.
Yeah, I expect this game to be pretty good. I don't know. These are two teams that I don't have a good feeling on either way. There's not a lot of identity. There's not a lot of, I don't know, talk about the teams either. So I don't know. I think it's kind of for a matchup of two top 20 teams. Normally you'd get pretty excited about that. This is one of the few games where I'm just like, I don't know. So yeah, I would take Oklahoma money line. I don't trust any number in this game though.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't want to keep doing this anymore.
Nebraska will cover. USC will
cover. USC will cover. Michigan State, Boston College.
I don't think
4.5 points for Michigan State.
Yeah, before I would have put money line Boston College just to be a dick. But I don't know. I don't think Boston College.
They struggled, and Aiden Chili's got hurt last game. I don't know. I've got Michigan State on the money line, but
that's what I would lean towards just for home field.
It was close last year. I think it'll be close again. Southern Illinois at Purdue. Nobody's going to touch that game. Why?
Hey, we're good. We're good again.
Good again. Yeah, 2-0 with wins against Ball State and Southern Illinois. UCLA at UNLV. I think this is your favorite game of the.
Give me UNLV money line. I'm gonna put a little bit on that just to get a taste.
Got that too. And then finally, UC Davis at Washington, and did not know UC Davis had a football team.
This is a 52-0 game.
Yeah, not even close. Okay, moving on. Do you have anything in your sack real quick?
I got one thing. I want to talk about I want to talk birds for a little bit. So these are the owls. The owls.
Yeah.
There's also like the FAU owls. There's the Temple owls. And there's a bunch of other birds too. Cardinals, Orioles, Eagles, the Ravens.
Falcons,
yeah,
Ravens.
Right. What's the scariest bird? Is it the Hawks or the Eagles?
Like a scariest actual bird, because like the magpies are pretty scary.
Oh my god.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, look,
you're doing soccer talk now,
bro. No, listen. In Australia or whatever, like people have to wear like helmets, like if they're driving like a motorcycle or riding their bike, that have like fake eyes on the back, or maybe they don't do the fake. I can't remember what it is. They have to wear something on there to keep these things from dive bombing their head for no reason. Like they're not protecting anything. That's just what they do. But then if you're going to go way into the animal kingdom, if you don't know what a cassowary is,
you need
to look that up. They can disembowel humans.
Basically what I want to get to is there's got to be scarier. Like Cardinals is way too soft.
A hawk or a falcon.
Cardinals way too soft, right? That's the softest of the birds.
Cardinals, Blue Jays. Those are
Orioles.
Those are backyard birds. Those are fine. Yeah, Orioles. A Raven is spooky, right?
Yeah, I think only
because
because of Edgar Allan Poe, though. I think otherwise I just be like
threatening.
I don't know. What about like vultures? I think vultures would be a good. Or is that like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're around rotting carcasses too much.
Yeah, true.
Emus, ostriches.
I'm telling you to do the cassowary. If you
I
can
know,
make
I was gonna say
like a normal thing, but it's just never gonna be one.
Okay.
All right. Prediction time is a good question. Prediction time. Seth, what do you have?
So we did the math on this. We thought 51 points. That's what we settled on, right? Is what they should have scored last week.
Yep.
I think they still struggle to execute a little bit, but I think they definitely pull off a lot more than they did last week. I'm going to believe the number to be 45 for IU. I think it was the same number I had last week. And I'm going to say 6. I think they go for 2 or something on a late touchdown. I'm going 45 to 6.
Oh my God. For the first time in the history of the LEO podcast and Hoosier Happy Hour podcast, we have the exact same predicted score.
I just pulled this out of my ass in real time. Okay. All right.
45 to 6. And Seth, just for people listening, Seth has a completely different outline and zero access to mine. Like, not allowed to look at it. Like, he doesn't have a completely different, he just has a blank one. He has no scores. There's no picks of the games. There's no key players written down, right?
Nope.
He gets to do all that on his own. 45 to 6. Unbelievable.
Look at that.
There's not even a poll to put out. So that's it. Final say. I don't really have anything. I don't know. Come to the game, stay for the fun. Don't leave until it's like on ice, I guess. Although, man, we've had some bad crowds, but holy cow, North Carolina. that game, I don't know if you've seen that time lapse of their stadium on Monday, but woo.
What they saw
from you?
Yeah, what they saw in Chapel Hill was an execution, and that's what I want to focus on for this Saturday, and it's execution. It's making sure that all the blocks are crisp, all the assignments are handled properly. I really think that, the points left on the board, some of the mistakes, all the things that Sig was critical of are all things that can absolutely be improved. They're not things that are, oh, we don't have the athletes. Oh, we don't have the coordinators. Oh, we don't have the facilities. It was, we didn't execute this one aspect of the play. We didn't execute this one aspect of the catch. We didn't execute this one aspect of the blocking assignment. I expect that attention to detail to be absolutely imprinted upon these guys this week, and you expect to see a much better execution on Saturday.
Yes, well said. All right, so we've kept it under 45 minutes. That's cool. Be sure to check out the pod on Twitter, Instagram, at Happy Hour IUFB. Be sure to download, rate, review, follow, do all that stuff on all the platforms. Yeah, that's it. Join us again on, I guess it'd come out probably Monday this week or Tuesday. We'll see how football Sunday goes. The first football Sunday goes. See if we got time to record or not. I'm going to the Colts games. I got back-to-back games I'm going to. So we'll see how everybody's feeling after that. But yeah, either way, we'll have a post-game pod out for you guys ASAP, as they say. Yeah, till then, thanks for listening. Cheers.
Get in the end zone, Saquon. Cheers.
Why? Oh, yeah, you have him. See ya.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.